When I was a kid, I went to that boardwalk with my parents. I wandered off. I ended up in that hall of mirrors. There was another girl in there. She looked like me. Exactly like me. She's still coming for me.
They think like us. They know where we are. They won't stop until they kill us, or we kill them.
Hi, Now Playing listeners. This is Arnie, co-host of Now Playing, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our Spring-Summer 2020 donation drive. Now, I'm sure you know, everything is in flux when it comes to movies. Fast and Furious 9 moved out a year. A Quiet Place 2 delayed for an indefinite amount of time. Theater chains closing up entirely as we work on this social distancing, as the media is liking to call it right now. But while people are staying physically apart, we at Now Playing Podcast are hoping you'll continue to be in our company every Tuesday and Friday this summer. This past Friday came a release of the Jordan Peele movie Us. It's the start of our Silver Level donation series for spring and summer 2020. The Silver Level series will continue later this summer with a Candyman retrospective series leading up to Jordan Peele's new Candyman reboot. Here's a clip of our review of Us, and then I'll be back after to talk to you more about this donation drive.
This has got to be the weirdest slasher movie ever conceived. And then we get a whole lot of information really quick. We need to go really slow to process everything we see in the next 5 minutes. Right here from the get-go, the title, Us, could also just be U.S., the United States.
Oh yeah, the doppelganger's gonna say, we're Americans, like when they first come onto screen. Like, I definitely think there's that correlation between us and U.S.
So next up, we see an old-fashioned TV set. Maybe missed my cathode ray tube. But it's sitting there on this bookshelf, and it's surrounded by VHS. I love all of that. I'm like, what are all the clues there? They got Chud.
Yes, which about underground zombie-like things.
Goonies, same deal.
A lot of Goonies references in this movie.
Jordan Peele said Corey Feldman. He's a huge fan of the Coreys, but there's 3 Corey Feldman references in this film. The first one being Goonies. There's a couple later on, but yeah, Goonies, underground tunnels. Nightmare on Elm Street. I was trying to figure that one out. I guess the doppelgangers, the tethered, have gloves and scissors. That's kind of like Freddy's glove knife.
Not only that, but there's a place where children are taken, a subterranean boiler room. Peele's just said that one of his favorite movies growing up is Nightmare on Elm Street, and it inspired this movie.
The right stuff I can't figure out.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? If you watch that movie, everyone just assumes, oh, the space program. Yeah, it was all this success. It was a wild, chaotic, crazy program that shouldn't have worked. It was an experiment that could have easily crashed and burned, and in fact did, ask Chuck Yeager. So it gets to the idea of this large-scale governmental scientific experiment. That there was some crazy idea somebody had, maybe in the 1950s, or maybe even earlier. But I associate all of that optimism and idealism and experimentation coming out of the dark 40s into the 50s.
Yeah, we got to compete with the Russians, the Soviets, the Cold War, the space race, all that.
It feels like maybe all of this started up then, or maybe it's much older. It's hard for me to say, but that's the way I took the right stuff.
Then we had The Man with Two Brains, Steve Martin movie I love, and of course you kind of see where that plays in here.
A theme of duality, yes.
It's different because in that movie you had one person with 2 brains, and in this one you have 2 people with 1 brain.
And then what's on TV but Channel 11? 11 is a number that you will see run throughout this movie. It's a drinking game if you want to make it. And I looked up, what is the significance of 11?
Oh, it's a spiritual number, yeah.
It apparently is. In numerology, it implies balance. And certainly when you have the 11:11 that we'll see later, the biblical reference, it kind of looks like a mirror. It kind of reminds us of the way that there's this other thing on the other side.
At the end, you see somebody holding a sign that says Jeremiah 11:11. And I looked up what that verse is in the Bible. It says, "Therefore, this is what the Lord says. I will bring on them a disaster they cannot escape. Although they cry out to me, I will not listen to them."
I think Jordan Peele was lucky. I'm sure he started Genesis 11:11 and then Exodus 11:11. Like, where can I find the perfect 11:11 verse? Because it's got to have that number.
Yeah, indeed. But just staying here on Channel 11, they're talking about some strange phenomenon that something's happening in the bay. Scientists are predicting something terrible happening. It's nebulous. We don't really know what it is. And then they cut to a commercial for Hands Across America.
Remember this? I wanted to do this so bad.
You have no idea. I begged my mother to do it.
Somewhere in the 6 million people, you were connected to all these famous celebrities that were going to participate. They had a song. It was on the pop charts. It did not chart as high as We Are the World, but that was what they were going for.
Yeah, hands across America, hands across this land I love.
Yeah.
United we stand, divided we fall. And then what ended up happening is they didn't have enough people because everybody just wanted to go outside, right? You want to go outside your house and there's your chain. But there were huge stretches of like Nevada, because this was going to go from East Coast to West Coast.
Golden Gate Bridge to World Trade Center.
But nobody wanted to stand in the deserts of Nevada. So there were huge unpopulated areas where nobody went. And then you go to, one of the big cities and people were 5-6 people deep.
Yeah, exactly so. And yeah, it's just the way that the population falls, that there are these areas in America where you'd have to drive there. It could happen. You were donating because it was all for charity. It was all to fight homelessness and to help those in need, which I think is significant to this plot as well here. We see this ad. I don't think this is an ad that was running in 1986. I think it has been made specifically for this movie because of some of the language that was used. The fact that they say 6 million people tethered together makes me feel like Jordan Peele designed this commercial.
Yeah, and the icon is those cutout dolls, but they're red and they're wearing red. I'm like, that red is significant. We'll talk about it, but I'm like, was that the real icon that they used?
Yeah, well, that was, absolutely. Yeah, no, the logo was that. It was a paper doll chain of red people stretching from one end of the continental U.S. to the other. That was on the T-shirts. I remember it very well.
If you'd like to hear the full review of us, as well as reviews of the Candyman films, it's just a donation of $10 per more. Now, if you look at how many shows we put out per month, every single week on Totally Free Tuesday, plus these 5 bonus shows, you're looking at so much less than $1 per show over the span of this donation drive. If you really want to help us out, at about $1.10 per week, you can go gold. And at the gold level, you get the Candyman reviews, the review of us, as well as reviews of 10 Tom Cruise movies. We're starting next Friday with Losing It, Risky Business, All the Right Moves, Legend, Top Gun, The Color of Money, Cocktail, Rain Man, Born on the 4th of July, and, assuming it still comes out this summer, Maverick Top Gun 2. And if Top Gun 2 moves its release date, you'll get that review whenever that movie is released and we're able to get that review done. And to be one of our top supporters, a platinum level supporter, it's just over $1.50 per week for the span of the donation drive, and you're going to get all of those reviews I've just talked about, plus 3 or 4 more. If A Quiet Place Part 2 is released this summer, you're going to get the A Quiet Place review series and a review of Bird Box. If A Quiet Place Part 2 is pushed past mid-September, then we're going to replace that series with another series that will have 3 or 4 episodes. And of course, you can become a patron of $10 or more, which will get you the silver level series, plus, by the end of this donation drive, about 40 exclusive bonus podcasts that can only be heard by being a patron. And one of those is coming up in just a few weeks, a review of Doctor Strangelove, the Stanley Kubrick classic. All the details are at nowplayingpodcast.com/donate. Thank you for listening to Now Playing. Thank you for your support, and we hope you and your family stay healthy and safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Gabe, I want to go.
Where you trying to go?
I can't be here. It's too much.
You serious?
Being here, it feels like there's this, black cloud just hanging over me, and, I don't feel like myself.
Your support helps keep Now Playing on the air.
The two were connected, tethered together. When the girl ate, her food was given to her warm and tasty. But when the shadow was hungry, she had to eat rabbit, raw and bloody.
The opinions expressed on Now Playing are those of the individual hosts and may not reflect the opinion of Venganza Media Incorporated.
It took years to plan. Everything had to be perfect. I needed to make a statement that the whole world would see.
Venganza Media Incorporated is not affiliated with, and this podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by any entity that created the film analyzed herein.
You don't get to make the decisions anymore!
All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They are included here for the purpose of review, and no infringement is intended.
When you point a finger at someone else, you have 3 pointing back at you.
It's 4 fingers pointing back at you.
Now Playing Podcast is an exclusive trademark of and may not be used without the expressed written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated.
For generations, the tethered continued without direction. They all went mad down here. And then there was us.
Now Playing is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2020. And no part of this show may be reproduced, repurposed, or redistributed without the written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated. All rights reserved.
Look, they're all gone now. They can't hurt you. You understand?